Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetri K, and I am the 5-star general. Say we're in the fourth quarter, and I got all pro playing, man. My man Wendell Champion is in the building tonight. It ain't about a DRI. It's just about having a good patriot sitting in office doing what needs to be done. Y'all sit back. We're going to talk about it tonight. Say, man, I want to welcome y'all to another episode of the War Zone and tell you, as I normally do, thank you for tuning in. And without you guys, we wouldn't have a show. And I want to thank you for tuning in as always. I think the biggest news I got is I decided to take on a journey a few years ago and had a classroom full of kids that challenged me to go back to college and get my degree. They didn't want to talk to me unless I did it. So, you know, I'm halfway there. I got my final grade in yesterday, and I got a 4.0 this semester.
All right.
And I'll graduate with honors with my associates in criminal justice in December. And then it's on to Lamar University to finish up the bachelor's. So I want to thank Principal Guillory over at Yates, who just pushed me, made me believe that math was not the devil. And I just want to tell her that math is still evil and it's still the devil, even though I got a B in it. I never want to take it again. Down here in our city, the big news is, and I can't confirm it, but looks like from what we've been reading that Joe Biden may have removed Dallas Jones from his position with the Biden-Harris campaign. I've not been able to verify that. Don't know the reasons why, but if it happened, it happened. And bottom line is, you know, we can't have the foolery no more. People ain't dealing with it. They not dealing with it. Donovan, what's going on, my friend?
Wow, a lot of stuff going on. You know, like I said, we're in the last 2 weeks of this election, so we're down to the nitty gritty. California politicians out here are shaking in their boots. Everybody wants to come on the show because of the platform that I have, as well as what you have there. And I could miss the show because Wendell Champion is on the show. And this is a brother that is going to move and is going to shake. And I said, I'm not missing the show for nobody, because when this brother gets to DC, there's going to be a lot of changes in the city of Houston. Demetri?
So hello, everybody. Welcome to the War Zone Wednesday night, and welcome to Mr. Champion. Welcome back. So we're going to get into, you know, his campaign and all of that in just a bit. But I think we all should pay attention to what's going on just a little bit in Africa. You guys haven't heard of the NSARS hashtag campaign. So SARS is a special anti-robbery unit in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria has been up in arms. The young people especially been up in arms for the last 2 weeks or so due to the police brutality that is going on over there. It is said that the police are brutalizing people. They're also robbing people, as far as like if the young people get arrested, they are holding them, I guess, for a ransom, basically asking them to pay a lot of money for their freedom and things like that. And so they are asking the president to step in, the president of Nigeria. He said that he was going to disband the SARS unit and create something else, but he hasn't done that. And so I think we, especially as Black people over here in America, should be concerned with what's going on over there in Nigeria as well. And a couple of people, including that of Joe Biden, he had spoke out about what's going on over there, but so far, not too many other higher ups over here have spoke up. And so, you know, keep your eyes on what's going on in Nigeria.
I tell y'all what, man, I'm glad you tuned in. And what we need you to do is we need you to share this video, push your share button. You know, the haters got the main page blocked, but didn't know I had a backup page. Matter of fact, I got 3 backup pages. But let's share this video so we can get it out and get this information out. I met this young man a few months ago, and we had a discussion, me and Wendell Champion. And it wasn't about Republican or Democrat. It was about an African American who gave a damn about his community. And, you know, from that discussion, you know, it just evolved into something that I believed in, that it was time for a change. And Congressional District 18 has been ran like a plantation for the last 25 years. It's been ran like a plantation, and I'm sorry. I'll do the dirty work tonight. Mr. Champion doesn't have to do it. He can stay dignified. But it's been ran like a plantation for the last 25 years. Now, I have nothing personal against the incumbent. I just look at my community, and I'll go back 10 years, and it looks the same. You know, my schools are still failing and struggling. My neighborhoods have gotten worse as far as violence. We still have food deserts after 10 years. And that is more than enough for me to say that it's time for a change. So when I met Wendell, he broke it down to me how he wanted to do it. You know, he broke it down to me, you know, what to expect. And the one thing that I liked about him the most, if he felt he can't do something, he's going to tell you he can't do it. He ain't going to just sit there and lie to you and make you believe he can get something done. He's going to tell you straight up, this is what I can do and this is what I can't do. So, you know, he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's just going to come and take a picture with you and then forget about you after election day. You know, he's the type of guy that, you know, whenever I call him and I got a political question, he answers the phone. And I don't have to call a robo number or something else. He answers his phone. So, you know, the thing is I want to welcome you to the war zone again, my friend. We're going to catch up with you and see how it's been going. But so far, how has the campaign trail treated you?
Well, first, let me say thanks for having me back. It's just great to see all of you, and it really is. I will tell you that the campaign trail has been treating me very well. We have been making moves all across this district. In fact, I will tell you that not just my opinion. You know, it's easy for me to wake up in the morning and think I'm doing a great job, but I've had people come and tell me, folks from newspaper publishers to radio to political consultants to political candidates have come and told me that this is the best grassroots campaign they've ever seen. And some people have even told me that this is the best campaign period that they've seen being ran, especially in this district. So it's been treating me very well and treating my team very well. And I got to tell you, the thing that's so incredible about it is one of our volunteers said he was talking to his sister about our campaign. And he said he's never seen anything like it. We've got volunteers that are working all day, every day, like they're getting paid. And you know, that speaks to the fact that we're talking about a message to really help the people. And it's very clear across the board, as Five Star was saying, you know, I'm not in this just to rub my back or get someone to rub my back or give me accolades or make me feel successful. I mean, all of you have done background a little bit on my history and my personal experiences. Quite frankly, I already feel successful. I've already got what God told me I need to have to be happy. I've got a wife for 30 years, a daughter, a son. You know, we have a comfortable house to live in and cars that work. And when they don't work, I got enough money to go ahead and fix them. All right. So I've got everything. I've got everything I ever dreamed of really having when I was a little boy growing up on welfare in New York City with a single mom, and all the trappings that go along with it. And the only thing I'm concerned about right now is being able to share those experiences, help folks connect the dots, and make sure that all of our children across our 5th Ward, 3rd Ward, Acres Homes, Galena Park, Greens Point, all these areas, that all of our children have an opportunity to connect their dots and be everything that God made them to be. And it's going to take real leadership to do that. And I've been blessed to have had those experiences. And it's just time to share that and bring other people along and get some of the other leaders that want to do that, give them a way to do that as well. So that's an overview, but the campaign trail has treated us well. We're making a lot of momentum. We got a lot of momentum in a lot of different places that people will be surprised.
I personally endorsed you. And I tell people this here, whether you're Republican or Democrat, that's a hard endorsement to get. It's really not that hard if you've been doing the work. If you've been active in your community and you're not a sitting politician, it's not that hard to get the endorsement because, you know, I'm just not going to play the game. But as I've been floating around the polls, going to different polls, I've noticed that you have a very, very diverse group of volunteers. You don't have African Americans.
That's right.
And the thing that amazed me, and because, you know, a lot of people that's African American, oh, the Republicans, they this and that. But you got a lot of African Americans that's working with a lot of Caucasians and Asians, and I mean every gender, every level of race is helping Wendell champion. Why did these people fall in love with you like that, man?
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why. And from day one, I've been talking about looking at ourselves as Americans, and I want to share this with you. And it'll take a couple of minutes to share this thought and give you some backdrop. When I started to run this race, I literally was praying one night after a couple of days of trying to figure out, God, what am I supposed to tell people? And I woke up in the morning. If there was ever an original thought, and I know people say, well, you never have an original thought. Well, this is about as original as I ever had. I woke up in the morning thinking American plus, okay? American plus. So I want you to hear this, and because to answer your question, I talk about American plus. And so American plus, we have been taught that we are Black dash American, Asian dash American, Hispanic dash American, Latin dash American, Jewish dash American, Indian dash American, blank dash American. And that dash American, a dash in any sentence means less than. So subconsciously, all our lives, we've been told that we are less than American. And I say, no, we're not less than American. It's American plus. It's American plus I'm Black, American plus I'm Asian, American plus I'm Indian, American plus I'm Jewish, American plus I'm Latino, American plus. And we make that plus means that we bring culture to America. Plus our culture adds to America and makes America better. And what happens is if we start identifying ourselves as Americans and not less than Americans, but American plus, that allows us to bring our culture in, identify with our common bonds and our commonality, no matter where we come from. And it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, whatever race, whatever sexual orientation, none of that. Everybody believes and wants to have prosperity, opportunity, community, the right to have the religion and freedom of religion that they want. Everybody wants to take the lid off and be everything they can be in this country. Those are the common values that we have. And so if we start to look at ourselves from that commonality of being American, when it comes time for us to solve a problem, social, financial, injustices, whatever it might be, we think the differences are, we can now start from a common place, a common bond of understanding and common reference. And then we can get to solutions. And so when people come to our campaign, they hear that type of message, and that message resonates because it's all inclusive, it's real, and everybody knows that at the end of the day, everyone that came to America at some wet point, and we can talk about our history. Yeah, we have a different history if we go back to slavery and how we got here. But that still doesn't negate the fact that we all identify with being Americans and that American dream. And for those who might discount that thought, even Dr. King said, I have a dream. And he said, that dream is deeply rooted in the American dream. And so this concept that somehow we are less than American is false. American plus. That's why people are following this campaign. That's one reason. I can give you many, but that's one reason.
Donovan?
You know, I'm just glad that you're back on the show. I said something on the show a couple of days ago, and I know you've been busy campaigning, and I asked this question. I have never in my lifetime met a broke Black Republican. Have you met a broke Black Republican? I'm just, that's just the question I just have.
Listen.
I mean, isn't that an
Well,
enigma? Like, have you ever
and
done one?
if maybe they don't have as much money as some, but they definitely have. They don't have a broke
Uh-huh.
mentality. I'll tell you that, because the folks that I know in this party, since we're talking party politics at this point, the folks that I know in this party absolutely believe that the government is not supposed to put a limitation on us. And we know, we don't want to say it sometimes, but we know that what's being proposed by the Democrat is to continue to give people handouts. And I'm not totally opposed to that. How can I be? I've already told you, my mom and I grew up on welfare. So I fully understand that we have to be able to help people, but we have to be able to help them in a way that when they're finished getting that help at level 1, we've helped them to get to level 2, and then we've helped them to get to level 3. And before you know it, they're on their own and they're going and blowing and they're making all the money and taking care of their kids and having all the American dream that they want. That's what everybody wants. But when we continue to just give people everything and take away their hope that there's opportunity in the country, then the only thing they can do is live in complacency that's being superimposed on them by the system. So if people want to talk about a systemic racism, maybe we need to talk about systemic anti-economics, okay, and anti-capitalism as opposed to racism. But because what we know is that if we have enough money, you don't got to give me a free turkey, all right? Don't give me a free turkey leg. Give me an opportunity to make some money so I can go buy my own turkey. And if I buy enough turkeys, I can make some turkeys. And then if I have enough turkeys, I can own a turkey farm. That's what we need, not a free turkey leg. I don't want that. And none of our children want that, and our mothers don't want that either. And so it comes time for us to, as a people that are following a party that continues to say that's the way, to say, no, that's not the way. We don't want to have learned helplessness. And that's what's being pushed. And we know it. We all know it. And it's the truth, and it can't be ignored.
Awesome. Demetra?
So, hello once again and welcome. So we know that we've heard rather that the Democrats are in trouble with Black men simply because it is said they have been neglecting Black men. As we also know, they have this mantra with Black women, calling Black women the backbone of the Democratic Party. And now they're realizing, hey, we need Black men. And so first, what are your thoughts on that? And what, in your opinion, maybe your campaign or the Republicans, what are they doing to cater or to include Black men?
That's an excellent question. Okay. And let me give the backdrop real quick before I go into the answer to that. This is the reality. 70-year history of Black men in America. In 1950, the average Black man earned 68 cents to the dollar to the average white man. In 2020, it's 70 cents. 70 cents. That's two pennies in 70 years. And so when we adjust that for inflation, we adjust for our cell phones, we adjust for all of our comforts, we have gone backwards, and everybody knows it. And so when we start putting together the plight of the Black man in America, what we see, and you pointed it out, the Democratic Party is calling the Black woman the backbone of their party. That's another way to say Black men do not apply here. Okay? And we see it. And I'll tell you, we've seen it in Harris County as well. I'm happy that the young women that were part of the Black Girl Magic and all that, kudos to them. Kudos to them for being prepared for an opportunity. But you cannot tell me that as a party, they're going to put 19 Black women in a position and can't find one Black male to put them in there. They couldn't find two. They don't even have to find two. Just find one. Put one up there to represent to my daughter that this man could be your wife, your husband. Put one up there to recognize so my son in the 5th Ward, 3rd Ward, Acres Homes, Galena Park, Greens Point can look at that man and say, one day I can be like that man. Okay? But they didn't do that. And you can't tell me that was just by happen chance, because statistically that's improbable. You cannot fill 19 positions and not have one Black man. If you want to have a Black people in position, then okay, let's do that. But include Black men, unless of course, under the party, the plan all along, historically as well, is to eliminate the black man from positions of power within the United States, from positions of power within their families, from positions of power within their communities. And at the end of the day, what we know is this: simple basics of battle. You want to take over, you eliminate the strongest, you eliminate the men. That's what's happened. Now, people say, well, maybe it wasn't conscious. Okay, fine. Maybe there wasn't a conspiracy, but that's the result. And if that's the result, then we have to stand up as leaders and say, how do we now reestablish our black men, young men, fathers in our homes, in our communities, the warriors that we know we are, and let us go out there and fight for our families and win for our families. Nobody's doing that. The incumbent certainly isn't going to do that, not one time. And if she starts doing it now, she'll start doing it because Champion said so. I hope I answered your question.
You did it, and you did. So I guess since Donovan and Gary are maybe thinking of a question, I was going to go back to what you said about you being very fortunate and having everything that you need, and that made me think of someone like Ice Cube, who is also in a very fortunate position. And you probably heard about him taking some heat due to speaking out to both campaigns, and the Trump campaign was the only one that said we'll work with you. And I just wonder, maybe you can help me. What would drive a person who's in a position like yourself, like, hey, I don't need this position. I don't need to run for Congress. What possesses you, I guess? Because I guess if I was in you and Ice Cube's position, I don't know if I'd want to put it all on the line like that. I'd rather, just be a little comfortable.
No, that's a great question. Now, let's be clear now, okay? Ice Cube's stack is up here. Mine is down here. All right. So let's see. You notice mine didn't even come up on the radar there. All right. So let's be clear about that. But all the things that are really important to me, I have in my life. And so one thing to answer is, as I look at what's going on in the community and I ask for direction, I say my prayers and I talk to God. This was my assignment. That's number one. So I accept that as the assignment. But then when you do that, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and you're still at risk. My family's at risk. I'm at risk. A lot of things are at risk. This is not child's play. Okay. But when I think about what happens if I stay on the sideline, what happens with my children? What happens with my grandchildren? What happens with the young man who's sitting over there in a neighborhood just like the one that I grew up in, who has all the talent and potential in the world, and no one helps him connect the dots? When in fact, I've been fortunate enough to be able to transcend these boundaries, real and imagined. Okay, some of them are real, some of them are imagined. And God has given me the ability to transcend those. I've had some great experiences professionally, personally, different industries. When I look back at the experiences that I've had, it's almost as if though, right up into my last job right now that I'm currently employed at the sheriff's office in law enforcement, I've had experiences in all of the major areas pretty much that are questions in our community. And somebody has to be the agent for the community to broker the solutions. And what I'm going to propose to the listeners right now is that the elected officials that we have in place right now do not have a history of truly brokering the solutions into the community. If they did, we would see it, right? You want to talk about going back to our young men. Why don't we have more jobs for our young men in our community? Why don't we have supermarkets in our community? Why do we have food deserts after 25 years? They know these problems exist because they don't care. That's why. And can't say it any other way. And if they were successful in bringing companies, jobs, training, real training into our communities, then they would be bragging about it. All right. If they brought over 25 years, I tell you what, first of all, I'm not going to stay in office for 25 years. That's number one. All right. You give me a few years in that office, a few terms in that office, I bet you I can bring 1,000 jobs into this community that my kids can get trained for. I just know it. You know why? Because it only takes a few phone calls to a few corporations, to a few businessmen incubator. Now I can create jobs. So it's not just about bringing jobs. We can create jobs if we really cared. But it doesn't exist in our community. It's not a result.
Right.
And if it were, they'd be bragging about it.
Let me ask you this too. Like, why do you think Black people, specifically Black people, have a problem with embracing the Republican Party? I mean, other than the obvious stuff, right? So let me take a step further. Yeah, you mentioned, some people, Democrats being in office for 25 plus years. Now, most people, and we talk about this a lot on the show, can walk outside of their door and see that their neighborhood really hasn't changed in 25 years. The streets are bad. It's like it's nothing. It's stuck in time. In fact, it's probably gotten worse.
Yes.
So why do you think people have a hard time saying, you know what, maybe we need to do something different?
Sure. It's so from a historical perspective, and I'm not a historian, however, it's because in a nutshell, the Democrat Party as a party, Democrats as a party, they have done an excellent job of controlling the narrative and the perception of what's happened really doesn't match up with the historical reality. But it doesn't really matter, right? Because we all know that perception dictates reality. And so in the misinformation that exists about why we are Democrats and why we're not Republicans, it's just been pushed out there to the point where we believe it without going back and researching it. So that's a simple way. But let me give you a specific example. Okay? Here's specific examples. If we go back into history, go from slavery up to now, all of the major legislation that was created to help Blacks in America was created and or supported more by the Republican Party than by the Democrats. But no one's going to tell you that. No one's going to tell you that when we go back to the Civil Rights Act. The Civil Rights Act was passed because the Republican Senate passed it. The Democrats, if you look at the numbers in the House and in the Senate, the Democrats opposed the Civil Rights Bill more than Republicans did. But nobody talks about that. Okay? If you go back further than that to the beginning, the Reconstruction, okay? 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, all these amendments that had to do with giving Blacks freedom in this country were written, proposed, and supported by Republicans. But nobody wants to talk about that. You want me to tell you what the Democrats have done? They gave you the crime bill. Okay? That's what they've done. You want to tell me what Joe Biden has done for you? He put our men in jail. You want me to tell what Bill Clinton did? You can talk about Republicans all you want to. But yeah, I'll tell you this. Daddy Bush, okay, George Bush Sr., the first George Bush, he started off with Willie Horton and the revolving door. And he leveraged the fear of the Black man being a criminal in order to get his votes. Okay, he did that. Bill Clinton came into office. Remember Bill, the first Black president? So said Saturday Night Live. Okay.
He was a nasty little man.
But so Bill Clinton comes in and he saw that worked to weaponize the law in a way to use fear of Black men to grab votes. So what did he do? He made that thing just balloon. So we went from 250,000 Black men in prison to 1.5 million and exploded from there. But nobody says that's the Democrats that did that to us. What? And then you allow this guy to get up in your face and in our face. And I'm not calling out Democrats. I'm just saying as a Black man, we should be insulted that someone would look in our eyes, look into a camera and say, well, if you happen to be thinking about voting for Trump, you ain't Black. What? He didn't have enough decency and respect to even use proper English. You ain't Black. Stop. And then come back and think we're supposed to accept the fact that he says, oh, I was just kidding. No, you weren't. You know exactly what you were saying. You know exactly what you were saying. And then when it's time for him to select a running mate, did he look at any of the black men he could have chosen? No, not at all. You know why? Because he doesn't want to have a strong black man stand beside him. That's why. He doesn't want a warrior. No, he doesn't want that. He wants to continue to placate. He wants to continue to pander. He wants to continue to insult and laugh at us. I bet you he's laughing when he goes back home. He has to be. He has to be going, I can't believe they fell for that. Right? So they control the perception. We ignore the history. And then when anytime someone brings it up, it's such emotional that we don't allow the other side of our brain to kick in. And that's not the people's fault. That's the fault of our elected officials they themselves benefit from it. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, it's funny you say he may go home and laugh. And I wonder if he's laughing now, especially with Texas realistically becoming a battleground state. And the possibility that some of these counties in Texas, they may not be able to certify the election due to the cheating that is going on. Now, I know in your district alone, we've uncovered mass cheating at several polls. What's your ideologies on it? Because, and I ask you that because you don't seem to hold your tongue. You're just going to speak the truth. I don't see a Democratic leader across the country, black, white, indifferent, saying anything about the fact that their people are continuously getting caught cheating with less than 2 weeks to go in this election. What's your opinion on that?
Let me say this. You know, first, and I always seem to maybe qualify to give you a base of where it comes from, right? First of all, it's really unfortunate that the end result of all of this is really, this is the purest form of voter suppression. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You got the parties, they're going back and forth. One party says, Democrat Party says, those Republicans over there, they're trying to do everything they can to disrupt this election and suppress your vote. They want to make it harder for you to vote. They want to take away your ability to vote. They want to make you have to ID yourself. Oh, there's a novel thought. You have to ID yourself to vote? What? Oh, we can't have that. That makes it too hard. And so they continue to play these mind games with people to tell them things that are simply lies, right? And then they go and do things like voter harvesting, going to the old folks' homes and having them fill out ballots or sign their name, and they go fill out the ballots for them. Have ballots going to boxes that don't exist, people that don't exist. We know this has been going on, right? So my opinion about it is that we have to stop it. Why? Not so that the Republicans can win. No, that's too shallow. Just so that the Republicans can win a seat? No. So that we can protect the integrity and the power of the individual vote. And if you want to go toe to toe, let's go toe to toe, but don't cheat your way to the finish line. Okay. And then tell the people that you represent them because they chose you. What kind of nonsense is that? They didn't choose you. You cheated your way and everybody knows it. Okay. And so that's not right to the people. That's voter suppression. What do I mean by that? And it could be just by a fraction. It doesn't matter. You have suppressed the power of the individual vote. Even if it's by a fraction, it's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Right is right. That's my opinion. And that's, again, if we're going to have fair elections, let's have fair elections. People should be able to, people should be able to go to vote and know that their vote counts.
Well, I tell you something, man, Donovan and Demetra, I don't see anybody African-American, especially in Harris County, where we've uncovered a lot of this, saying anything about it in a position of power. They're not saying anything. They won't make one comment on it. So when the Republican Party starts making comments, oh, it's because it's Trump, it's this, it's that. No. Why can't we just have a fair election? Let the chips fall where they may. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. But some just on this program tonight, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm 2 sandwiches short of a picnic. So I'm thinking, why is it that you want that seat so bad? And in my honest opinion, I just feel like, especially in Harris County, that the Democratic Party is running the party like the Gambino crime family.
Oh yeah.
They get to choose who the capos are. We know who the Don is.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And what they're doing, and what people need to understand is, anytime you have a city where you have to add more police officers to the force because the crime is going up. Let's look at Houston. Is it happening in Republican neighborhoods? No. It only happens in our neighborhoods. But yet your representation is not saying anything about it. Donovan?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to take a question from the one of our longtime watchers, Tisha K. She says, I would like to know his stance on the educational system and getting more male teachers in the school system.
Oh my, that would be beautiful. Okay. I was just talking to a young man last night who lives up in Klein, young, tall, strong looking brother, lives in Klein, and he's a school teacher. And I commended him so much for being a teacher, because I only remember through all of my education having one Black male teacher in all of my education, in all of it. I think I may have had another one when I was at West Point, but it wasn't very memorable because that's like dark time. You don't remember all that stuff. But I know going up to West Point, I did not. And going to law school, I did not. And so the idea that we could promote that as a pathway to success is great. You know, over in Fifth Ward, the prep school over there, they've got the boys prep school over there. And I've gone over there several times to meet with the people, and they have Black male teachers all around that place. And it's fantastic. Fantastic. You know, down at the prep school down here, Yellowstone, same thing. Provision, fantastic, right? We've got the Mickey Leland School there, right on the edge of Fifth Ward, right? That's focusing on boys and has a Black male principal. Fantastic. You know, he should be, for example, the hero of our community. We should be holding him up for his work in trying to make sure our young men are on the path. So to do that, though, we have to be willing to go in and create an educational system that then connects young men and women to these career paths that are needed. That's not that hard. It really isn't. We know that it's needed. We know that we can fill the gap, but you have to have leadership that's willing to do the things that count the most. And we're not doing that. Okay. I will tell you, anybody that's listening, and you share this with your friends, you can mark my word. You put me in Congress. And I know they say politicians promise everything. You put me in Congress, and I promise you this, I will create a path. I would connect the dots. The resources are already there, so that our young men and women who have the dedication, the desire, the discipline, the determination to succeed, I'll make sure we build a bridge and a path so that they can do that. I've done it before. That's how I know I can do it. And it's not about me. It's about knowing that the resources are out there and then knowing what the end result is. And let me tell you, I'll give you one example. Right now, as we speak, I have a young lady that we've been working with, met her some 10 years ago when she's like 8 years old, live in Haverstock, and everybody in Houston knows about Haverstock. People say, well, champion, where have you been? You haven't done anything for the community. Nonsense. Just because I haven't been out in the public square doesn't mean I haven't been committed to the community. Okay? I've been committed to my family, raising my son, raising my daughter, and staying married to my wife of 30 years. So I've been doing something that's a great example for the community. Mark my word. But I've also been up at Haverstock for the last 10 years doing things in that community. Even some 10 years ago, we took some kids up flying. And I'll tell you that story in a shorter version. We took some kids out flying in airplanes, showed them a different world, introduced them to some different career paths that were within the airline industry, aviation industry. One of the young men said, I can't wait till I grow up. I might just become a pilot. All right. When I started this campaign, a mother chimed in on Facebook and said that Wendell Champion and his friends took our kids out to different things that we couldn't afford to do and showed them different experiences. And to this day, her words, not mine, to this day, her son loves aviation. Okay? I don't even know who that is. But the fact of the matter is, we could go in and change lives by helping people, introducing them, bridging them, connecting the underutilized resources with the underexposed talent. And we've got underexposed talent all the way around. And right now, one of the young ladies who was on that trip, I've been in touch with her family. They still in Haverstock. Her little sister's still there. Her mom's still there. The bullet holes across the courtyard into the door from last semester is still there, or are still there. But guess what she is? Right now, she has a full scholarship to Houston Baptist University right down the street with a dream and a path to reality to becoming a prenatal cardiovascular surgeon. Okay? So don't tell me that we can't do it. And so when you see my motto and it says from welfare to West Point, I'm not talking about just Wendell Champion's personal journey. That's easy. I've already done that, so I don't have to even talk about it. It's about helping others become who God made them to be, from whatever point of challenges that they have in their life to who they are inside already. That's where our leaders have failed. And it's unfortunate. It's inhumane. It should be criminal, but it's not. But it's certainly incompassionate. No compassion there. When we allow thousands upon thousands of people, young men and women with incredible potential. We all know that. We see it in their eyes. When our little baby boys are running around in the neighborhood just free, with dreams built up inside of them that they don't even recognize yet. And then we send them off into a world that doesn't show them who they are and expect them to be okay. No.
And I was gonna say, I was thinking, talking about male Black teachers. I've only had 2 from kindergarten, even in college. I've only had 2,
Yep.
Black male teachers. So I thought that was crazy. But I like another point that you made. You said, people say, well, I don't really see you out and about. You say, I was taking care of my family. And I often tell people that, sometimes people are out there trying to save the world.
That's right.
And they haven't even saved their own family or, their neighbors. So I think that's awesome. But I want to ask you this. Have you had a chance to debate Sheila Jackson Lee? No? Okay, so I thought that was the case. But so let's say you were in a debate with her right now. What would be one of the things in her career that you would refute? Like, so she said that, I did A, B, C, and D. What are one of those things that you would say?
Well, I will tell you one of the things that she says on her postcard that she sent out to everybody. And it said that she's a champion for women. And I would say, really? Well, most recently, have you shown that? And I'm not talking about Soros. I'm talking about the women that have been working for her. Okay? The one who comes up to her as a young lady and says, I have a problem with the sexual treatment that I've had from said employee. And instead of protecting that young woman, instead of going through the full due diligence to see whether or not she might be telling the truth, let's assume she might be telling the truth. No, we don't do that. We fire her. Okay? So the suit goes to a lawsuit. It gets dismissed. I don't know particulars about why it gets dismissed, but beyond that, because we know something can happen for real and not make it through court. Okay? So I'm just saying, if you were a champion for women, you probably would have tried a little bit harder to protect that young lady and the future of her emotions that now she has to live with for the rest of her life. She wasn't protected. That's one
I
outlet.
She might have been a champion for turkeys.
Oh, now
They seem to have a bunch of them laying around.
Well, she did get the endorsement most recently from the turkey leg hut. All right. But remember what I just said.
Yeah, but that really doesn't surprise me. I mean, because honestly, everybody's in bed with everybody.
You say that,
and I'm saying, and it is what it is.
And to the folks again, I want you to hear what I have to say. I don't want to just give you a turkey leg or a free turkey at Thanksgiving. I don't want to stand at the end of a U-Haul rental handing out turkeys to you every year. No, sure, we can do some of that, but I want to teach your children. I want them to have a path to know that they can go buy their own daggone turkey. They don't need to feel so proud that someone gave them a free turkey and look up to me like you're a queen. No, that's just wrong. No.
Well, you know, they up the game this year. They even got past the turkey. They giving out masses and gloves now.
And listen, and free food at the polls. How about that?
Yep.
So
free food
at the polls. If that's not Roman politics 101, hey, you want my vote? Okay, fine. Right? You want them to love you? Let them eat cake. That's what it is. Let them eat cake and you'll control the masses. Let them eat cake. No, it's wrong. It's wrong. And we should not put our people in a position and a psychology that somehow they're going to clap for us and applaud us and commend us for bringing them some daggone free food when you should have been making sure that they can buy their own damn food.
Real quick, because Demetra called me or texted me last week, and she had gone to the polls to vote. And in California, you can't be, as a candidate or any of your material, can't be within like 600 feet or something of the polling place. And as a candidate, they don't even want you around the polling place. You have to go somewhere else. And she was saying that candidates in Houston could be right there,
100 feet away. So that's the law. So 100 feet from the polling booth, but usually they make it from the entrance to the building, and it's 100 feet. So that's the law. But that's still fair. But the idea here, because everyone can do it, right? But the idea is that we should not put our people in a place where they feel that somehow we've done something for them, when we should not have left them that position to start with. So we create positions for them to be in, and then we come around like we're the hero because we're saving them from the same on decrepit situations that we've put them in, or if we haven't put them in it, we've left them in it. Okay? So let me talk specifically about an example of what we can do. Our young women are being sentenced. I use that word. Sentenced to public housing, inadequate public housing, with just enough food stamps to feed their children, just enough free housing to house their children, just enough to make sure the AC is running cold, but actually is running frigid because they're not paying for it, but never enough to raise themselves to the next socioeconomic level of freedom. We have sentenced our children, our young women, it's despicable.
Let me ask you something. Well, I tell you what I noticed too, and I don't know if Demetra and Donovan noticed. I hit a few polls today. I'm really getting down for the people I support, and I see the champion volunteers. I see all the Republican volunteers. Where in the hell is the Democratic volunteers? They not at the polls. They don't have poll workers. They not campaigning. They not doing nothing. They finna try to get away with the biggest robbery in U.S. history. There are none at the polls. And I'm talking about polls that normally have 20, 25 poll workers.
Yeah.
And all you see is a couple of Republican poll workers, no Democratic workers. Now, I want to talk to you about crime real quick.
Okay.
The city of Houston came up with a new initiative. The mayor is going to spend $4.1 million, use the COVID as a cover to get the federal money, which I don't agree with, in saying that the COVID is the reason that the crime rate is high. But what I noticed, and I said it last night, that Northeast Houston is not included in that map of neighborhoods where they plan on doing this. Now, the crazy part is the crime rate in Northeast Houston is 54% higher than the national average.
Hey,
what's your opinion on that?
My opinion, my opinion, as you can imagine, starts off with, once again, we have examples of elected officials who fail to be leaders. There's a huge difference between a leader and an elected official. So an elected official will make sure they grease their palms. I'd be interested to know, if you get that money, where's it going? Someone like the hurricane money that came out that went $7 million missing. We're not really sure where it went, but it certainly didn't go to the older senior woman whose home I was over in Fifth Ward just yesterday, telling me how her house flooded and she had to live in there with her husband because someone got their money and then they didn't get any assistance. All right. And it's the same thing with crime. All of a sudden, go back to what I said before. We help create a situation, then we try to come in like with a valiant knight and save it. No, that's easy, right? So they know daggone well COVID didn't start this crime. They know that, but they'll get on the newspaper and tell you that, get on the news and tell you that. Why? Because it's easy to tickle the ears of the person that's desperate to hear something that will make them feel like, oh, that's the reason. It's harder to take personal accountability. It's harder to stand in a leadership position and say, if I'm a real leader and you give me operations at point A, time and place, my job is to make it better and take people to a better place to point B. And by default, point B is better than where it started. If that's not the case, we need to kick them out. Okay, I was about to lose my congressional status there by saying going to another place. But anyway, we need to kick them out. Okay,
you're a real soldier, because those out there that don't want to admit it, for this man to be in Haverstock for 10 years, if you've never been to Haverstock or you just read about Haverstock, that's gladiator school, man.
Hey,
don't no politicians go up in there.
No,
the police scared to go up in there. So the work that you put in there, man, kudos to you, brother.
Hey, and let me say this, it's the perception, right? Sure, there's some hard guys up there, but there are also some innocent children with all the life in their eyes and their beautiful smiles and the full potential, just like the young lady I just told you about. And we have to go in and save them. Who's going to save them if we don't? When I say we, since we're talking in the war zone and with 5 Star, and we the people, and in our situation right now is we the Black people, the American plus Black people in America. If we don't step in there and create that solution, who's going to do it? And if we don't hold our leaders, our elected officials accountable and tell them when it's time for them to leave, if they haven't been effective, who's going to do it? And then we allow them to continue to tell us that it's the white man that's doing it to us and he hasn't been in our neighborhood yet. And then when he comes into the neighborhood to buy up the property that we failed to own, I might say, then we call him a racist that's taking away the property. Well, if you've been in daggone office for 25 years, why didn't you help that family learn how to buy the daggone property so that when he comes in to buy it, then they could get their money 20 times, 10 times over? You didn't do that. You know why? Because you don't care. And to suggest otherwise, it's not the truth. All right. So we continue to play. All of y'all, we continue to play 3-card money. 3-card money, hide the ball, the flip the cards. That's why I grew up in the streets of New York. You go in there, they got 3 cards and they say, where is it? And they make you feel like you know where the answer is. All right. And they suck you in because they showed you a couple of times, oh, we did this for you. And then they shuffle it around again. And before you know it, you're looking at the truth and they know you're looking at the lie. And then they got you. They got you because you doubled down and now it's too late. You can't get out because you believe too much. And then they give you some other narratives that make you feel that if you somehow go away from it, oh, you must be Uncle Tom. No, you must be out of your mind. You obviously don't care about Black people. What? I just told you I cared. I don't even have to tell you I care. Go ask some of the mothers up there that I've talked to over these years if I care or not. And just because I happen to be a Republican ticket, some people might suggest that I don't care. I suggest you do that. The people that have been leading you along and not giving you any results so that your family can live better, they don't care. And if they did, you would be living in a better situation with greater opportunities, because no matter what anybody says, this is still the greatest country in the world for opportunity. And if it wasn't, millions of people wouldn't be trying to get here. We're the group that has to grab that idea and own it, and then go out there and demand our own economic resources and progress.
So let me, I remember my mom when I was a kid, she told me about getting beat at that card game. She was, fresh in the city and thought she was about to win some money. And it woke her up, but she never, got again, as they would say. So what do we need to do to wake up Black people, especially, so they stop getting got by the lies of the people they continue to vote for? Like, there's less than 2 weeks to go. What needs to happen so that, Black people especially get to hear the other side of what there is to offer?
Well, let me say this, and I'm going to speak specifically to Wendell Champion and what I'm offering. I'm not even going to say so much about the last 25-year incumbent. You just look around. You want to see the resume? Look around your neighborhood. Okay? That's the resume. That is the resume. That's real. Look in your neighborhood and see what's up. And look, if you look around your neighborhood, you look in your family, you look at your relatives, you look at yourself, you look at and you go, oh, this is great. We've progressed. Then don't vote for Wendell Champion, because you're doing all right, if that's what you really believe. But if you look at your neighborhood objectively, take off the blue glasses, take off the red glasses, and just look with clear eyes, okay? Look through a clear lens and look at your neighborhood, look at your situation. If it needs to be more than it has been, then they haven't delivered, okay? And then take a chance. I mean, what's the chance? What's the chance that you're going to get, you hear my voice, you're going to get someone in there that has passion about helping our children, that has a history of helping our children, has a history of trying to help young mothers, has a history and a desire to tell the truth so that we can progress as a people? Take a chance on that. All right? You want to win? You want your family to win? You want your neighborhoods to win? Because if you're winning already, fine. Keep on doing what you're doing. But if you objectively know that we're not winning, then take a chance on Champion. That's what we need to do in this district. All right? Take a chance. And 2 years from now, if I haven't delivered, you call me out. I'll come right back here on this show, on this day. You call me out and tell me to get the heck out of there. Okay? And you're supposed to do that. Kick me out. Put me in. And if I don't do what I say, kick me out. Period. And I say that for everybody. All right? Everybody, including the incumbent. If you look at it, look around your neighborhood, there's a resume. Don't listen to what people are telling you. Don't listen to what we put on paper and say, well, this is what I did. This is what I did. I sent $1 billion down here. Well, you sent $1 billion. Where did it go? Okay? Where did it go? We got any accountability for that? Because we don't need to just tell people we sent it. Well, you sent it. If you sent it and it was supposed to help my children, how come my children are still only 10% of them can write up at Fleming Middle School? Only 20% of them can read. And we're sending, and we have the audacity to send them to the well-respected and well-renowned and well-honored Wheatley High School, the school of our leaders, the school of our historians, the school of our great people, Barbara Jordan, Mickey Lena. We send them there and they can't read and write, and then we expect them to participate in America and be able to take care of their families? No. Kick those folks out that are lying to us. Come on now. It's time. And everybody knows it's time. We talk about this at our family reunions, at the dinner table, at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. We all know that we're saying this in the secrecy of our homes. Now let's say it in the secrecy of your ballot box. You don't even have to tell me that you voted for me. Just go in there and do it. All right? You don't have to say what you voted for. You don't have to say if you voted Republican or Democrat. Someone say, how did you vote? this is what you tell them. Man, I just voted with my heart.
There it is. Final thoughts, Donovan.
And look, I'm telling you, if I could be in Houston right now, Wendell, look, I like the name Champion. I mean, the brand is good. With a name like Champion, how could you lose? I mean, we like Nikes, we like, all the Mercedes. With a representative like Champion, that means you're on top. You got the best. I think you're the best. We're in the 21st century, like you said. I mean, to me, that is exactly it. Forget anything that you're saying right now on this show or anywhere you've spoken. The resume of the incumbent is right outside your neighborhood. Just look outside your door. And if you think that is okay, then God bless you. But I bet you a majority of you guys want better. And like I said, that is the truth. And I like a person that talks truth. Wendell Champion all day long.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Final thoughts, Ms. Demetra.
No, and I was going to also say, I know quite a few people who cast a vote for you. I was in Southern California at the time, so I had to vote out there. But I know several people who did, including a lot of people in the comment section said that they did vote for you. So I do hope that you're successful because from what I understand, there definitely needs to be a change. So
I appreciate that.
Good luck to you.
And I got to tell you this and have a good little thought about this. I tell you, welfare of the West Point, my West Point mascot is a black knight. All right. The black knight. So the only piece on the chessboard that can get to the queen and the queen can't get directly to him is a black knight. It's time for us to replace the queen with a black knight, and we can do this. All right. Well, thank y'all.
My final thoughts is in the last 25 years, I've watched E.O. Smith get closed down under her watch. I've watched North Forest Independent School District get closed down under her watch. I've watched the crime rate in Northeast Houston go through the roof. I've seen people that just don't have hope anymore, and they've given up. 25 years of that is enough.
That's right.
And it's time for us to change the narrative. It's time for us to change the narrative, and that's all it boils down to. So I will continue, bad back and all. I'm going to be out there for you, getting down for you, the whole 9 yards, letting the people know it is what it is. I stopped at the gas station today and just started talking to the hood.
That's
and
right.
Before you know it, I'm holding court, and they get it. They understand. So, I appreciate your passion. Want to say thank you for your service, because I mean, you did that too. And a lot of people, they talk about you, but they don't mention it very often. So I think that you'd be a great congressman for District 18. And those that have the ability to vote for Wendell, if you want change, it's time for you to go in there and push the right buttons, man. It's time to push the right buttons. And I want to invite you. I know it's getting close, but on the 6th, we start Warzone Radio, the morning show, just like Tom Joyner. I'm going off in the morning. I ain't gonna cuss, but we're gonna have a whole bunch of fun. You're welcome to stop by before the elections, my friend, and we can sit down and have an interview with you and just try to help you as much as we can help you. This ain't about Republican or Democrat. No. This ain't about white or black. This is just about getting a good man in office to help people. And that's all it boils down to. So with that being said, I want to remind y'all on election night, we shutting the city down, man. We shutting the country down. We true black media. So we'll have our own election night coverage live on the War Zone on election night. And you know it's going to be real. It's going to be raw. I might have to go old school on them, Wendell, and pull out the Colt 45 that night and drink me a cold beer. Numbers coming in, but the Black Knight versus the Queen. But what she didn't understand, he got a cold court jester in his corner. Say, man, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. It's been another spirited discussion. I want to thank my good friend Donovan Sadiq, the Queen Demetra K, and my man, Congressional District 18 candidate Wendell Champion. With a name like that, you can't lose. And of course, I'm the 5-star general until tomorrow night. I'll holler at y'all.